right. We're back reintroducing new feature Fridays. In the green room, we were just talking about Halloween, and how it's not, as big as it is in Canada, compared to the US. Um, but our friend Stefan is, and you're in Canada, right, Stefan?
That's right, in Vancouver, yeah.
But you've lived all around, right? So you've probably experienced Halloween in many countries.
Yeah,
Um,
I tell you, in Thailand, it really took off. They love dressing up for Halloween.
Interesting, interesting. Yeah, I'm excited to put on a Batman costume and head out this weekend. Let's see. Let me open up the chat. Thank you everybody for joining us today, taking a little break out of your Fridays. I know we have an hour booked for this session, but we're only going to be about 15 minutes as we give you guys some concise updates on today's topic, which is going to be end user elevation. This is actually a feature that we've never really put out to the public yet. So anyone who's on this call feels special. This is our debut of end user elevation. Let me make sure our chat's open. All right, attendees can chat with everybody. Where are we calling in from? Does anybody have a Halloween costume that they're going to be wearing this week or next week? I'd love to hear it.
Kalamazoo.
I want to see some costumes. Anyone dressing up when they're giving out candy? I guess that's like kind of a next week thing too, though. Oh, heck no.
Heck no.
Uh, I love to get in the spirit for things. All right. Um, yeah, we want to keep this quick, so let's jump into it. Introduce the panel we have for you today. Neil, let's kick it off.
Hi, everyone. My name is Neil Shastabrich. It's a long last name there. I'm a product owner here at CyberQP. And I work on new features, basically taking a look at any bugs or issues that arise. And I garner feedback from partners and basically work on designs with our design team here. So yeah, I'll pass the baton on over to Michael.
Hey folks, my name is Michael Garrity. I'm the manager of sales and engineering here at CyberQP. My team is responsible for both pre-sales as well as post-sales implementation here.
So my name is Stefan. I run the success team here, and basically we take care of our partners, make sure you guys are getting the full value out of your product, and that you have everything you need to succeed with our platform.
Thank you, gentlemen. And yeah, so one of the things that we wanted to do to kind of switch up the flow of these feature Fridays is to, not only show you the solution in full, and give you like a technical deep dive, but also talk about the why and help you guys understand why CyberQP created this tool and why we think that why we think it's a necessity for MSPs today. I'm going to call on Stefan first. He spends a lot of time speaking with MSPs, a lot of time at trade shows, and then also spending time with our partners. So, when you're talking about their security needs, what pain points do you see Elevation solving for MSPs today?
It's a good question, and really from our point of view, we see our MSP partners as sort of like superheroes who, it's our job to go out there and protect our end users a lot of them time at the time from themselves. And so to do that, we often have to take their admin privileges away so that they can't do any damage to themselves. But we end up in this weird position where some of our most valuable, vocal, and productive clients who operate line of business applications like CAD, QuickBooks, or their EDR need some sort of power given back to them so that they can be productive and do their jobs. And I'll pop it out there to the chat today. Like, how many of our MSP partners think it's a good use of our time to be remoting in and updating privilege or updating QuickBooks for a client? Probably not too many of you. And on the other side of that, how frustrating is it for your most productive clients when they have to write in and request elevation or request privilege to update an app and then wait on us as MSPs to grant that access so that they can operate their daily driver piece of software to be productive. And so those are the real pain points we're seeing there, and something that I think that an elevation tool will be able to alleviate for us here.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Stefan. We have some some banter in the chat about the Vikings game last night, but also Chaden stepping in, talking about how they still don't take away local admin from all of their customers. It's a very long manual process, have a lot of tickets to get admin privileges. And I feel like that kind of leads us into what I really wanted to bring up next, Stefan, is, still want to refer to your conversations with MSPs today, and how are you seeing them granting end users the privileges they need without Elevation? And then kind of talk about how Elevation makes that process so much easier for MSPs.
Absolutely. So, if you have stripped the standing privilege from your clients, and you need to go in there and give them some privilege, it is still a very manual process. We've got to remote into their system, go and find the user list, to go and identify that person, figure out what least privileged access we can give them. And then we have to let them know that that's done so that they can run and do that job. And during that time, we basically got to babysit. And sometimes, truth be told, we might forget to go back in there and remove all that admin access after they finished it, because we've got a million tickets coming in. We've got stuff to do, several different client sites to work. And so it gets really time consuming, a little bit messy in the back end. And if we have a dedicated tool like CyberQP's QElevate product, we can receive a request for an Elevation grant, grant that request for a specific amount of time so that that privilege will be stripped at the end of the session there. We'll get an event log of all those requests, and we'll be able to add and remove that privilege with ease straight from a dashboard. So no more jumping in and remoting in, saving us a lot of time and really improving the customer experience there.
Yeah. So, sounds like we're saving the MSPs time, making them more efficient, giving them time back to focus on, the tasks that are a little bit more important, a little bit higher priority. And outside of those pain points that we're solving, how is Elevation from CyberQP going to make these MSPs money? Let me talk a little bit about
That's a great question. So for us here at CyberQP, our QElevate model is really our first true sell-through product. It's something that our MSP partners can take to their end users and sell per user. And really what it's going to be doing here is improving our customer experience, right? We're giving them their superpowers back so that they can be productive, operate their line of business applications smoothly. We don't have to worry about spending time babysitting any users once we give them privileges, and we can safely grant them privileges for a fixed amount of time, strip those privileges when the job is done, and we have all the marketing collateral already made out that you guys are going to need to be successful with this.
And very quickly, to expand on some of that marketing collateral that Stefan just mentioned, this is our partner portal. So as a CyberQP partner, you all can get access to this for free. If I go ahead and jump into the content hub here, you'll see a ton of resources that we have. All of these are actually zip files with many items beneath them. You can see we have a little Elevation enablement piece here to help you go to market with strategy, with end user Elevation, properly explain it to your end users, how they can use it, how it's going to benefit them. And another thing that I wanted to show, which I'm going to call on Neil here, is, can you guys see that KB article?
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. So Neil, how about you explain, the purpose of these KB articles and how MSP partners can use these?
Yes, we have two KBs in our knowledge base. One is for the technician side, where somebody who has CyberQP will go through and do the clicks to enable the feature for certain customers, and then effectively end users. And then another KB here is more geared towards the end user, seeing how it's going to look like on their computer. So there's going to be some UI things that they're going to see on their computer, such as a pop-up, a field where they can type a reason on why they need Elevation, and then they'll get to see what happens on your guys' end when you go and approve or maybe potentially deny the request. So we have two sides of the coin here, and we're excited to have these resources that we can have at your hands.
Absolutely. So a lot of helpful things to make sure that you guys are optimizing your use of Elevation. And we also have KB articles on all of our other solutions. And as you saw in the partner portal, there are go-to-market resources for those solutions as well. I'm actually going to take my deck down for a second, and we're going to pass it over to Michael Garrity, who's going to show you what this tool can do. Feel free, as we're running through this, ask any technical questions you want. I've got Neil on the webinar here to save me today. So yeah, be active in the chat.
Cool. All right, let me go ahead and share out. All right, so what you're looking at here, I'm just connected to a workstation. Let's pretend this is your end user's workstation. All right, so on the end user's workstation, we're going to have this CyberQP agent installed, which you can see in the lower right-hand corner. But before we move into that, I'm going to just go to the start menu quick and show you guys that I'm signed in as this user named Alando Holly. And if I go to my user management and look at my local admin groups, we're already in a state where Alando has been removed from the local admin group, so he doesn't have any privilege, right? We got James Bond here, but no Alando. So now Alando's in a scenario where he needs to install a piece of software. Let's say it's this Chrome installer from Ninite. He has a few different ways that he could initiate a request. The first would be by clicking this tray icon in the bottom right-hand corner, and we see request admin access, or just by trying to run the installer itself. So when I double click the installer, right, we're going to get this UAC prompt. It says you need to request admin access and provide a reason, as Neil was just mentioning. So in this case, I need a new browser or whatever it might be, and they go ahead and click yes. All right, they now receive a message that the request has been submitted, and they'll receive a notification once it's been approved. So now a few things are going to happen. I'm going to push that to the background and move into the CyberQP dashboard. If anyone's not familiar with the CyberQP dashboard, this is just our multi-tenanted dashboard where you manage all of our solutions, whether it's the Q Elevate product we're talking about today, or our Q Desk or Q Guard product, or Q Verify. Now, when we submit that request, two things are going to happen. One is you could set up an email to be triggered out. So in this case, I have mine set up. I see this elevation request came in. I see my customer's name. I see who it was, the username, computer name, the origin, whether it was the tray icon or that UIC prompt, as well as the reason on why they're submitting their request that they filled in. Now you could forward this on to your support email address where you could have it generate tickets if you want, but otherwise it's just an email right now. Then whether I click the link in that email or inside of the dashboard, I could navigate to my active requests. And here I see that pending request from Alando, right? I'll see again, the customer name, the computer name, the details, as well as his reason. And then if I actually click into this request, I could get some additional information. Right down here, we have the file hash as well as some security signer information. And either on this page, I could select a duration and click approve. Or if we were back on the active request page, I can either mass select if I had multiple requests here and approve. Or in this case, I'm just going to click the three-dot menu and approve Alando's request. Right, he's just installing a browser. He probably doesn't need 90-minute access here. I'm going to keep it to 15 and then click approve. Right, we'll see request was approved. And now two things are going to happen. All right, on Alando's machine, he's going to see that he was approved. We're not granting this access right away. He actually needs to activate that request. The reason being is we know end users, they're like, oh, I need to install this, and then they'll run out to lunch or, go to the bathroom or whatever it is. Then all of a sudden, by the time they get back, their 15 minutes was up and they don't have privilege anymore and they have to resubmit the request. And same thing happens. They disappear, get caught in an Excel spreadsheet, whatever it might be. So both on their computer, we have that request, but we are also going to email them, letting them know, hey, your request has been approved. Right, when you're on your computer, being the keywords here, go ahead and click activate. So they can click activate from the email or on the machine itself. It's going to do the same thing, which is open up a browser where they just have to confirm they're ready. They click activate admin access. All right, and then we'll see our 15-minute timer counting down there. So now if I go back into my user management, I'll see Alando has been granted that admin access as he had requested. So in this case, the original reason he requested it was for this installer. So now we still get the UIC prompt, but all Alando has to do is type in his credentials. Just grab my password here. All right, type in his credentials, click yes, and then the installer goes through. In this case, I was already installed and up to date, so not much happened there. All right, once we're done, we could either wait for the timer to run out, or we could click finish now. Then in a moment, we'll see, hey, your timer's expired. If you want access again, request it. And if we go back into our user management, we'll see Alando has once again been removed from that admin group. And then on our dashboard, his request was now moved to the completed section where you see all your historical requests. So again, to recap, Alando needed permissions that he didn't have. He threw in a request. We accepted that. He was granted it. We performed the action we needed to, and then that privilege was automatically revoked at the end of that time period.
Yeah, so it looks like we have a couple questions in the chat. Neil, I know that you're typing away, but one of them that came in is, while they have admin access, can they do other things that require admin privilege, or does the admin access limit them to the original request?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yes.
So,
Sorry.
no, you want to take that, Neil, or want me to?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I thought that's a really good question, so I'll verbally answer it. So what we do is we take the one imported end user that you have in the system in your customer, and we can follow it around so they can send an elevation request on any of their computers. But we're just looking solely at the end user, so there is a one-to-many relationship there.
So this other question come in. When they submit the request, does QElevate see what user account and give that user account? We have machines that are used by multiple users throughout the day, so linking a user to a device wouldn't work for those customers. So a device can have multiple users, and then whoever is logged into that machine is the one submitting the request. So if Neil was on that machine and he submitted the request, he's only getting admin privilege for that one machine because we're granting it local admin access from the machine that they're on. But if it's an Active Directory account, right, he could be on any number of workstations and submit the request from there. But again, his privilege would be restricted to the machine that he had submitted it from.
Amazing. And then a couple more questions coming in. Oh, am I on mute? No, we're good. How does CyberQP Elevation work with legitimate applications that run child processes?
Yes. So right now, the way that we kind of grant admin access, it's based on time. So as you saw earlier, Michael gave it for 15, 30 minutes, and there's two other buttons there. We actually add the end user directly to the admin account in the first phase of this elevation project. That will be the first type of elevation that we have. In the future, we're working on process-based elevation, where we're going to specifically lock down the system where you can only run that single process. And that might not necessarily be time bound. It'll be based on rules that you can set in the dashboard. So right now we're not we're basically granting access based on time. Later we're going to handle the sub processes and main process situations by policy and rules.
Awesome. Couple more coming in. Without giving users admin privileges, can you just give admin privileges for running that particular application? So I feel like that was kind of a follow-up to what you just answered, Neil.
Yes, that's correct. So that will be in the next phase when we do the process-based elevation and the rules, where you'll define it, and then when an end user goes to their computer and runs something that matches the future rules, it's just gonna look seamless to them. They're just gonna be able to run it.
Once a user is granted elevation, does the user have full admin rights on the computer where they can also install other applications? I believe you also
Yeah.
have a version of that as well.
Yes, so at this time, when that 15 or that 30-minute button is clicked and they're approved, they will be able to do anything that an administrator will be able to do. We understand that that is a situation that can occur, but right now we're just trying to keep your end users, the honest end users, honest, and then automate the revoking process. In the future, when we move towards that process-based elevation and when we have that rule system, there still is a use case where we're going to keep this offering of the 50, 30, and 90, like those buttons there, because there's some special line of business applications that rely on the specific end user with their name signed into the system as an admin. So in short, yes, they can do multiple things right now as an admin, but in the future we're going to lock it down and we're going to give you multiple ways to do an elevation for your end users.
Yeah, and so what we're gonna do is hold a couple of these other questions that are coming through until the end. The last section of our Feature Friday series or episodes that we're doing is quick fire feature releases. So we will get to those other questions that came in. I just want to make sure that for time's sake, we get through the content. So Neil, how about we run through these quick fire feature releases? After that, we'll go over what's going to come next, and then we'll get back into questions.
Sounds good. So an update from the product side. We've deployed 60 different bug fixes and feature related development tickets since our last product update webinar. So those tickets include bug fixes, things related to end user elevation, and also the items that we're going to talk about soon for coming soon. And we've added more event logs for events taken on a dashboard. So a lot of times we build a lot of features and we want to make sure that every action that we take that's of importance is logged in the event logs so that you can get a bird's eye view of seeing exactly what your technicians are doing on the platform. So a lot of people see the features that we do on webinars and stuff, but every time we do that, there's a whole pack of events that we're generating there. So we're constantly adding to that to give you really high fidelity. We've also implemented some rate limiting strategies for our short word passphrase system. That's the password system that's used for end users when they're logging into the self-serve app to safeguard our validation endpoints against brute force attacks. So we're just staying cognizant of all the ways that somebody could try to, from the outside, give us some pressure and take actions that we don't want them to do. And also, here's a big ticket item. We've optimized and reduced API calls that we use for our IT Glue password rotation integrations. We are now distributing them strategically over a given hour to minimize errors. So we're smoothing out the amount of IT Glue queries that we're doing when we're rotating a password for a specific tenant using the options that you have inside of your customer. We've also cleared out any rotation attempts that we do for passwords that we're no longer seeing on your IT Glue. So we've identified a case where we were attempting to do some password rotations, but unfortunately on the IT Glue side, maybe that password is no longer there. Maybe the permissions were changed to make them only visible to a specific technician on the IT Glue side. So basically we were no longer seeing those passwords. So now we're just going to not attempt to do a rotation on those ones when we see it, thus reducing the amount of API calls we do. And the recent internal metrics that we have on our side are showing error rates now below 5% over a 24-hour period. And that's a really good number. The best number would be 0. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to continue to invest more time and resources in the coming week to further reduce the API errors and increase the success rate, which will also involve some heavier changes on our side as well. So coming soon, we're going to be giving our tenants the ability to send push notifications to your end users, Microsoft Authenticator apps straight from your dashboard. So this feature is going to be something imminent. We're probably going to be pushing it out by the end of October. And what that will let you do is send a ping to your end user's device and to their Microsoft Authenticator where they can get a pop-up and hit approve. This is going to be another way that you can do end user verification when someone requests for things like, unlocking like a room or getting access to something or maybe just for you doing a ticket that might be unrelated to even IT. This will help you have a conversation where you just tell them you can use an existing app that you have on your phone. You don't have to go to any other website for verification or fish through your email for a code or something like that. We're also going to allow you to unlock, lock, and reset Entra, AD, and local accounts directly inside of Halo PSA. So we've recently released an integration for Halo, which right now can just send verifications to your end users. We're going to enhance that and actually allow you to click buttons inside of Halo to do a password reset and unlock and lock. So basically those directory account management actions. And finally, we're revamping our self-serve mobile app. We're going to have an improved method for sending alerts to your end users. And we're just going to refresh some graphics and some colors in there to make it more modern. And we're doing that both for iOS and Android. So stay tuned for that as well.
Awesome. And so now we're going to hop into the questions that you guys have submitted here. One thing I wanted to know, if you are a current CyberQP partner, want to schedule a re-onboarding or make sure that you're getting the full capabilities out of our solutions, you can scan this QR code. On the other side, if you are a prospect or someone who is not familiar with CyberQP solutions, you can also scan this QR code and book some time with some of our specialists. I'm going to leave that up here while we handle some of these questions in here. So these are mostly relating back to QElevate, Neil, but do we have plans to have a QR code that can be, oh, looks like you just answered that question.
Yes, actually, sorry, do you want to share the question again for the crowd? I'll
Yeah,
answer.
do you have plans to have a QR code that can be ready by your app so there are fewer steps to get approval if I'm working on the system as a tech?
Yeah, so that QR code, we're aware that that's a method that some vendors have for authorization to get access to the computer. Initially, early in designs of the QTech app, we thought about maybe doing something similar to that, but we really want to eliminate any, points where someone could be like shoulder surfing or perhaps someone's around and they can see the QR code. And we were thinking fundamentally by providing just the email of the technician and then doing a separate outside of the screen method where you pull up your phone and you probably use your biometrics, or approval on the app might have been a little bit an increasing on security, but slightly less, a little bit of a decreasing on the convenience. So we've heard a couple of people actually bring up the QR code. So we've noted that one, but at this time there isn't a push right now that we're thinking about to making that the method. And also we're investigating if there's anything else we can do smoother, such as, what if you could just tap the name of the computer on your self-serve app and then be logged in, or sorry, in your QTech app and be logged into the computer. So there's also some other twists that we can do there where you might not even need to hold your phone up to the computer. But that's a good question. Yeah, thank you, Jeremy.
Does this require an agent to be installed on all of the workstations?
Yes. So for end user elevation, we do need the agents to be on the end user workstation. That will let us do the automation to drop them into the admin group and then also the removal. And in the future, we absolutely need that agent on there so that we can handle the process-based elevations and the things where we're going to scan rules and allow only that specific thing to run in the future.
I just moved away from Kaseya to ConnectWise. Is there any plan of password integration with IT Boost similar to IT Glue?
Yes, so I think that's more of like the password rotation and then storing it on an external documentation tool like Hoodoo and IT Glue, which we have right now. We don't have plans currently to do that, but definitely if this is a big point that you need in your business, feel free to pop into our feature request board. And if there isn't an IT Boost feature request in there, go ahead and submit one or just search for IT Boost and then upload that one.
Oh,
And our team will monitor those.
yeah, I was gonna say, I remember I've looked into that one before.
Yeah.
I think our big dilemma with IT Boost was that they don't have an API available. So Yeah, even if we wanted to integrate with them, there's not really a way for us to communicate and push those changes through. So that's something you'd probably have to get on the ConnectWise side on their product team saying, hey, we want an API for IT Boost so we could integrate with all these other vendors. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. So to give a little bit more context, if we wanted to do an integration even with a new documentation tool, we would need the ability to have a passwords endpoint, and that passwords endpoint would have to say create a password, update a password, and even delete a password in certain cases for cleanup. And if that documentation tool also has concepts of folders, there's a twist where we also probably would need access to create folders and push passwords into folders, or maybe even set the permissions. So those things would all actually have to kind of exist before we could even entertain that integration.
Any plans for a LastPass integration for passwords?
For that one, not at this time. But again, feel free to upload that on the feature request board or submit one if it's not there.
Stefan or Garrity, if you don't mind throwing that feature request board link in the chat for our man Corey. We'll continue with a couple more questions here. How about Duo push notifications?
Yes. So we have that on our radar, and we have that as something we wanted to do. When we did the Microsoft Authenticator push to verify, we wanted to do kind of Duo back to back. But right now we're gonna get the Microsoft one out first, and then measure the usage for that, see if it's working good, and obviously to make sure that you get the best experience, no hiccups, and then we'll move on to the Duo one. That one is definitely something that we have it in the design phase, and we have it on our side in kind of a design state. So hopefully in the near future we'll start working on that one too.
What is the advantage of using CyberQP's elevation compared to Auto Elevate and Threat Locker?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I personally think that it is very easy to enable. If I wanted to take this feature and hit the ground running with one customer, I could probably get this going in CyberQP within an hour or two. And that would include sending communication to the customer, maybe using the KB articles or the partner center that Jared showed earlier, and even spend like 20 minutes to actually go into the dashboard and then understand what our pop-ups are saying and click the customer and then hitting OK, and then even getting your first end user elevation request. So that's something that's totally doable within I would say like half a day. And it's super simple. It's dead simple. And we're working with partners that are using end user elevation, and we have a feedback loop where we're showing designs for the future state of elevation, and we're working on getting the right thing so that when we move on to the process-based elevation, which kind of forces us to do rules on our side, that we're making sure that we're going to get that right. So I think the advantage is we're getting people in real time that are using the elevation product on our side and giving us direct feedback. So essentially, I think our responsiveness is probably a huge advantage. And again, the setup, it's very easy. And your end users that you've probably been trying to pull teeth with on saying, hey, you shouldn't have admin access because you're getting it 24/7, when you probably only need it for like 15-20 minutes in a week. Those end users, now you have an easy way to explain to them saying, hey, like you're gonna have to not have end user you're not gonna have admin access, but as soon as you need it, I'll give you the keys back, and then you'll get nice pop-ups and stuff on your computer, and then on your side you're gonna be in a better position because at the end we're going to clean up the admin access. We're going to send an email, and you can even divert that email to your ticketing system where it can be audited and put into reports.
Are we using one agent for all CyberQP solutions?
Yes. So if a tenant has like say queue guard and they're doing like rotations for like admin accounts, that same agent, if it's plopped onto a end user system and you acquire the Queue Elevate product, it's the same agent. So all the footwork that you've done in your RMM, maybe hosting that agent somewhere or calling that agent from us, is the same process that you'll use for Queue Elevate. You'll just be targeting a different computer group or more computers at your customer.
I'm already using QDesk and QGuard. Is there an NFR license for CyberQP Elevation?
I might defer that to Stefan. Basically, it sounds like do we have trial periods, right? So let me defer that to Stefan and see if there's anything on that front.
Yeah, good question. Good question. I really like it. So at the moment, no official NFRs, but if you're looking to test it out, please let us know. More than happy to jump on there, give you some access, make sure you can give it a good test drive there. If you would like to do that, please reach out and contact your channel account manager, or feel free to email me, Stefan Tomeko at cyberqp.com. I'll make sure you get to where you need to go.
I believe who asked that question? Whoever submitted that question, go ahead and scan that QR code. When you enter in your email, it will automatically direct you to your dedicated partner success manager's calendar. And right from there, you can book some time in, learn a little bit more. I believe we have an off-topic question around just-in-time accounts. Will we be able to add custom security groups instead of just the built-in ones?
So we want to support the ultimate plan is to support all the custom entities. So Active Directory custom security groups is a big thing that we're hearing with our partners. We know some partners are blocked because they need a custom group because they might be managing an Exchange server, and there's all these Exchange groups that are generated once you have that running on-prem. So that one is on our radar specifically for AD custom groups and JIT. But things on like say the M365 side, like custom roles or custom groups on that side, that's not in scope currently right now in designs.
Looks like we have our final question. Does CyberQP have a mobile app to look and approve elevation requests on the go?
We have a technician app. It's called QTech. Right now, we have that heavily integrated with just-in-time accounts. In 2025, we're going to be enhancing things in there and putting more things that you could do on the dashboard. Elevation requests, the approve and deny, is one thing that could go on there. But right now, we're just going to measure the demand on that versus say generate a ticket on a PSA with elevation request details and some other entry points, or maybe perhaps approve an elevation request using your Autotask Insight or your ConnectWise pod. So we're aware of that, and we do definitely want to give more options to approve outside of the dashboard. But right now, that one's we're just holding that on to our internal elevation roadmap to measure demand.
Absolutely. This was awesome. Thank you guys for joining, taking a little break out of your Friday. We will be back with some familiar faces and some new faces in 2 weeks for the Halo integration feature Friday release. And then 2 weeks after that, we'll be back again with our O365 authenticator. I see Neil taking a deep breath there. Those were a lot of great questions coming in. We appreciate the engagement from you all.
Absolutely.
Hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday and have a good weekend.
All right.
Thank you all.
Cheers, guys.